Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon trying to muddle through another gaming news video with you guys. Thanks so much for your patience. I've been out this week. I don't know what happened. I'm going to be honest. Well, I tested positive for COVID like 2 weeks ago, and then I had no symptoms and I wasn't positive. And then I had about a week where I was just really congested and tired. And, I would have thought that it was that, but it was not. I tested again and I didn't have it. So I'm like, man, that's weird. But I don't think I've ever taken almost a week off of the channel in the entire time we've been doing it. And it's because I couldn't talk. I didn't feel terribly bad. But I literally could not talk, and I didn't want you guys to have to suffer through me being more annoying than usual. Anyway, thank you so much, and thank you for supporting Kiki. She did a fantastic job, and I'm waiting for everybody to be like, hey, yeah, just get off and let her do videos from now on. Anyway, we're going to talk about this Unknown 9 Awakening game, which I did not know existed until like 2 days ago. This is a game that stars virtually the actress who played Yennefer in the Netflix version of The Witcher, which had one good season, and then they just kind of ran it off a cliff. But this game kind of got run off a cliff as well. It is another game involving Sweet Baby Inc., and it's not selling well. Nobody's playing this game, and they're making all kinds of excuses for it, but the reviews are not good. And in fact, we even had people like Paul Tassi weighing in and saying that, the game is just very mid. It wasn't promoted well, and it's not surprising that it didn't do well. They planned this whole like multimedia experience around this game, and it just all kind of crashed and burned. And I'm going to talk about this because there has been a lot of discussion lately about game studios collapsing and quote unquote wokeness and Sweet Baby Inc. And, people are sort of going back and forth now. They feel that some video game commentators are taking things too far, that they're making things actually racist or sexist or homophobic. And I want to be very clear up front. Like, I don't agree with that. We've been very clear about our position, I think, since, pretty much the beginning of the channel. When we laugh at wokeness, we're laughing at performative cult-like political beliefs, right? When you're clearly doing something just to get fist bumps. And we'll talk about Lyn Manuel Miranda in here, even though it's not game related. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to, in 2024, we're going to do a musical about Gamergate. I mean, come the hell on, right? And when you make a person's skin tone or gender or sexual identity or whatever, like their defining feature, not like, hey, they're a person with XYZ or that happens to be XYZ, but they are XYZ. And you need to respect them because they are XYZ. And when it also comes at the expense of attacking other groups of people, right? The most common, I'm going to be honest, the most common is, hey, we're going to piss off the white dudes, the straight white dudes, because we hate them. I'm like, well, that's not cool. That's seriously, like, you're not making a case to buy your game. In fact, the opposite happens. And there is a company out there called Sweet Baby Inc., and they're a consulting firm that has consulted on many high-profile failures in gaming lately. Now, I'm sure other factors contributed to it other than Sweet Baby Inc., but it does seem to be an ongoing pattern that they are inserting a lot of DEI stuff into games and consulting on stories for games that do not resonate with gamers. And now gamers are actively boycotting or avoiding their games altogether. And it's not just straight white dudes. It's the women and the children too. No, it's pretty much everybody universally, right? There are a lot of non-white people, a lot of non-male people that play video games. And, this quote unquote modern audience doesn't want the stuff either. And this one, I mean, they're like, oh, nobody knew about this game. I'm like, this is starring the woman from, I forget what her name is. Anya. What is her name? Off the top of my head is Anya Shalatra from The Witcher. It should have been a bigger hit. It should have at least attracted some attention from Witcher fans. But, again, they ran that into the ground. So let's talk about this. We are starting a new old endeavor on X. And I've pretty much resigned myself to the fact that websites are dead. Like, I don't know what to do here. We were going to try to bring Clownfish TV back as a website. Now, the website still is out there, and it does we do post the new videos on clownfishtv.com. I was kind of looking into resuscitating the website as being a news site, but Google does not like websites anymore. They like AI snippets of websites. So we're going to attempt to publish articles on the DRes News account, which, yes, is the same thing as the DRes podcast, out on X, and see if we can pick up some traction that way. I guess I figure at this point we really don't have much to lose because the websites are just like not performing like they used to, right? And it's so much easier for people to just read an article on Twitter, even though we don't get paid for it. But we'll see where it goes. Anyway, this information actually comes to us via SmashJT, who is another YouTuber and has a history with Alyssa Mercante from Kotaku. But he apparently, now this is his information. I want to be very clear. It's not my information. I can't support it or verify it independently, but trust me, bro. No, this is his information, and he probably does have people sending him stuff. We have people sending us stuff all the time, so it's very, very possible. But according to his insider at GameStop, they sold like 500 copies of this game. And people have the Steam DB data, and they only had a handful of players at launch. So let's talk about this before we get into it any further. God, we're into it very far. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to DRes News. See right there on X if you're on X. I don't have a lot of followers. We actually, this was kind of on the back burner. It wasn't a burner account, but it was on the back burner for several years. And we used to just post podcast episodes here, but we're going to repurpose it, I think, and see what happens. So I think I'm going to go out to probably SmashJT here in a second, but I want to tell you what this game is. So, as I understand, Unknown 9 Awakening is actually published by Bandai Namco, which is having all kinds of problems right now. It was developed by a company called Reflector Entertainment, and I went to their website, and it's pretty much Portland, just as you would expect. No offense to anyone from Portland, but it is a caricature of Portland all in one place. And, of course, they had Sweet Baby Inc. contributing to it. So it's not really a Sweet Baby Inc. game per se. They don't publish games. People seem to misunderstand that. I don't know why it's so hard to understand, but they do consult on these games and basically make them quote-unquote woker as a result. SmashJT. So here's his original article, and I got to give him all the credit for this. He said the game is beyond dead. It's somehow worse than you could have imagined. He had an anonymous GameStop employee reach out to him that said, I work for GameStop at the corporate level. I have data on almost 3,000 stores, 2,900 stores. Your video inspired me to check Unknown 9 sales. While there was movement for 2,000 initial copies, which were stored distributions, I saw maybe 50 other copies with movement, which were pre-orders, but nothing else. We had around 350 copies of Unknown 9 for PS5 available for shipping, but the demand was zero, meaning none sold. On Xbox, we had about 150 copies and zero demand. So between both platforms, at the time of my first email, we sold 0 copies. Nothing. Now, again, this is an anonymous tipster. We don't know who or where they're from. Hopefully SmashJT did some digging into this person to verify, because I could totally see, especially given what's going on with Alyssa Mercante and him, there's some legal entanglement. I could totally see somebody sending him fake information to set him up, and then have, Alyssa Mercante come in and be like, look, I've actually reached out to GameStop and they got back to me, and look how many they sold. It's doing great, everybody. He said, yeah, let's break it down, because holy crap, according to the source that requested to remain anonymous for obvious reasons, GameStop distributed 2,000 copies of Unknown 9 to their stores, but outside of around 50 pre-orders, no additional copies were sold. 0. That means, like, despite being available in 2,900 stores, the game didn't move off the shelves at all, like ever. The sheer scale of this failure is beyond massive when you consider how rare it is for a game to generate almost zero post-launch sales. This could actually be a bigger failure than Concord, right? Now, people do still go to GameStops. I guess we still have GameStops, right? Yep, Bandai Namco. Add it to cart. Man, this is not good for them. They're having all kinds of financial problems right now. They really are. We did another video about it, how they were basically huddling their Japanese employees into a room to wait for the end to come. They said their troubling start goes beyond the low number of concurrent players on Steam on launch day. Unknown 9 Awakening peaked at 285 concurrent players on Steam, a significant indication of the game's struggle to find an audience. Steam reviews have also reflected mixed opinions, with the average of mixed, look at that, 285 all-time peak 4 days ago. Still better than Dustborn, but it's worse than Concord. There's only 48 people on right now. That's not good. So apparently this whole thing was supposed to be an event. It was supposed to be like a transmedia, stop giggling, stop laughing, a transmedia blitz. And they had big plans for this game. They were gonna take it. Haruna, is that her name? Anya Charlotta. And it was supposed to be like a budget title, right? It was a $50 price tag for a budget title. I know in Japan they would do budget titles, and I know like EDF, Earth Defense Force, was actually originally a budget line in Japan, and those games were like $20, $25 US. And I would like to see things go back to that. You can't do it with AAA budgets of $100 million, $200 million, right? But I would love to see more games released, brand new games from major studios released at the $20 price point, the $25 price point. I don't understand why. Again, this is, and I'm taking a side tangent here. I have a lot of thoughts I've been gathering all week, but I don't understand why Bandai Namco, which has some pretty huge classic IP, right? Why they're not releasing, I don't know, Munchables or, Pac-Man games or something exclusive digitally. They do it occasionally. You get like, Pac-Man Championship Edition, and all that. But like, you should be mining that IP. You should be going back and doing budget titles. People don't need PS5 level graphics, even though they have PS5, right? I mean, put a couple of games out that push the technical limits. And I think that's kind of what's going on here. Is I think that the reason we have these AAA games is that they feel the need to justify the existence of their hardware, but people still are very happy with their Switches. And Steam just said that they're not going to do a yearly refresh. People are okay with old hardware as long as it plays good games, right? So I think that's kind of maybe a motivator behind spending all this money on these games. It's like, well, we have to push the limits of this hardware. And it's like, well, who the hell cares? If the game sucks, who the hell cares? If it's going to take 5 years to get the game out, who cares? And then you add the layer of DEI on it. It just, complicates things. But yeah, so this is not good, that to put it mildly. Yeah, it's not good. So let's talk about the greater thing going on here. Actually, no, I want to mention that Lyn Manuel Miranda, because this is like, he is stuck in a freaking time warp. Yeah. Gamergate inspired him to gender swap the Warriors for a new concept album. It is 2024, my dude. What are you doing? So this is where I want to go with it. I think to kind of wrap things up, things are changing. And I know there's been a lot, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's been a lot of discussion about, the changes in entertainment, in games and comics and movies. And, what point do you say, hey, yeah, okay, things are getting better? Or do you just double, triple down on, hey, they're not good enough, and then start to misremember how they used to be? Because I've seen a couple tweets out there. I'm not going to, put a spotlight on anyone, but there was a conversation with a guy who was like, if you give any credence to, diversity and inclusion, or, women in game or whatever, you can't call yourself anti-woke. But the thing is that there have been non-white, non-straight non-male people in gaming since the very beginning. The difference, from my perspective, the difference between actual organic diversity and this fake progressivism that we call wokeness is that it's mostly performative. It's in your face. It uses a lot of tactics to like guilt and shame you into overrepresentation, and that representation is often a parody of reality, right? And it actually does a disservice, I think, to people that belong to those groups. And I think at some point, there's going to be a line in the sand between the people that consider themselves being anti-woke too. And I'm already seeing it. Like there are people that are like, yeah, hey, cool, things are kind of going back to normal, to where they were maybe 10, 20 years ago. And there are other people that are like, I want things to go back to 1952, not 1992 or 2002. I'm like, I'd be happy with 2012, for God's sake. I mean, things are so crazy now. But, 2012, that's all right. 2002, a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to roll things back, decades. And some people do. And I think I really start to wonder, I'm going to be honest, some of the people that comment on this stuff, like, do you actually remember what things were like 20 or 30 years ago? Because I can point to several examples of shows and games and comics that were actually organically diverse and inclusive. And the difference back then was we didn't make a big ass deal about it. It just was. It was like, oh, this is a really good XYZ piece of media, right? It just happens to have a female star. It just happens to have a black star. We didn't think anything of it because we weren't programmed or poisoned into thinking about each other, I think, in groups like this. And I think that's the biggest difference. And it's very, very weird. Things have gotten very, very weird all the way around. And, I've got my own theories as to where the influence is coming from. But, we're definitely very divided. Media is being used as a hockey puck right now. Games are being used as a hockey puck, especially because of the amount of influence I think that they have. But, I do watch listen to a lot of YouTube commentators in the background. I know your boy Zach has gotten all kinds of flack lately because he's been calling out, as he calls them, the birthday party clowns. And I know some of these guys too. I personally don't have a problem with them. And I would not go out of my way to antagonize them, even if I did. But I do agree with his point that things are getting better overall. And I think the fact that these games are failing is pointing to that. You have to realize, especially with video games and movies, this stuff takes years to get through the pipeline, right? But look at what's getting greenlit now. Look at what is performing now. Look at what audiences are reacting to. And I think it's just a matter of a lot of these studios have to get this stuff out of their system, right? I don't think we're going to return to, even, depending on how the election goes, I don't know if we're going to return to another age of hyper woke content, because it's not good for the bottom line. It is divisive. It's laughable. And again, even the groups that are supposed to be represented by wokeness are tired of it. It's inauthentic, and there are better ways to do it. And unfortunately, I think the blowback, and we've talked about this, Geeky and I have talked about this before, is that people that actually do belong to the groups that they're trying to hire from, qualified people, talented people that belong to these groups, aren't going to get a chance. They're not going to, because it was handled so badly for so long. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. What do I know? I'm just a stupid old white man. But I'm looking at the projects that are getting canceled. I'm looking at the people that are getting put on projects, and it seems like companies now are going to play it very safe, and video game publishers are going to play it very safe. Comic book publishers are playing it very safe. We're going all in on Batman. We're going all in on Transformers. We're going all in on the stuff we know is going to perform, because we've had 10 years plus of activists basically coming in and commandeering the entertainment space and running everything into the ground. Unqualified people. They're in such a mad rush to, be diverse and inclusive that they started listening to companies like Sweet Baby Inc. that made that the primary focus instead of, good games, in my opinion. And everything went to shit. And now they just have to flush the rest of the shit out. And I think this is one of those projects. It's going to be in the bargain bins pretty damn quick if nobody's buying it. Everybody's going to forget it exists, and companies are going to stay away from Sweet Baby Inc. and other consulting firms. I think out of it. They're going to be like, we cannot trust these people to tell us what to do. And I think a lot of it, you can blame Sweet Baby Inc. all you want. A lot of it comes down to the executives in charge. Like, they were such pussies, for lack of a better term, or they were just, boomers who didn't know, what they were supposed to do. And they were kind of like, okay, well, everybody's telling us, my Gen Z employees are telling me that we need to be more diverse and inclusive because that's going to get us more sales. And actually, turned out to be the opposite, right? And we're going to see a massive course correction, I believe. We're already seeing it. And if you can't see that, that things are actually starting to improve, starting to get better, I don't know what else to tell you. They really are. There's actually a lot of good stuff out there. Just the stuff that's coming out is not being used as a hockey puck. There are some phenomenal games that have come out in the last year or two, but they're not coming out from the major studios. And the games that people are getting excited about are not the games coming out from the AAA studios. And they did that to themselves. You can blame gamers all you want, but you did it to yourselves. And, now you're going to have to pay the piper, and paying the piper might include selling your company. I think a lot of, like Ubisoft, I think they're going to be, that there's no hope for them. We have another video coming up on Ubisoft, by the way. But, it's just insane how quickly things actually are changing. And you're going to see people scream. I mean, you're going to get the Alyssa Mercantes because they are a relic from another era. She is always in her head, just like Lyn Manuel Miranda, right? She's in her head. She's always going to be the poor, beleaguered, persecuted journalist from 2017 or 2018. And so many of these other people that were in that scene. But it's time to move on. And we have to ask ourselves, like, what is next? That's what should be really exciting. Like, we're looking at a future, since I'm on X, I have X pulled up. We're looking at a future with fucking robots and fucking spaceships and fucking cyber trucks, okay? So what the fuck is next for games? Because we can scream about what happened 10 years ago forever, and people are eventually going to get tired of it. It's going to become very tiresome. What is next? And that's actually what excites me, is what is next. I think we need to rebuild. I think we're going to be in the rebuilding phase. And I don't think it matters even, again, which way the election goes. I think it's going to be harder if one candidate wins over the other. But I think just, again, it feels like the entertainment industry is going to have to rebuild. And every time there's a seismic shift like this, you get this era of creativity. Look at how PC gaming blew up after consoles imploded, after Atari collapsed. Look at, the birth of television and kind of the golden age of television, the golden age of radio, the golden age of comic books, even early internet. And just, it was this, Wild West. And that should actually excite us. I want to get excited again. I want to look at all the untapped possibilities that we've got at our fingertips, and the stuff that could come out of that. And I think that's pretty exciting. So it's not all doom and gloom. And I think we just need to really look at what is going on here, which is wokeness is dying. Sweet Baby Inc. is going to go out of business. This whole era of anti-gamer, AAA journalist wank shit that's been going on for 10 years, it's ending. It's all ending. But we need to acknowledge that, and then push for whatever's next, and make sure that this never ever happens again. Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt, on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.